All right, let's do Warriors then. 52.5. Division plus 190. Conference plus 320. Title 7-1. Play-in plus 370. I'm going to keep giving you the play-ins because somebody weird's going to be in a play-in. House, how do the last months of Draymond Green play out, in your opinion?
On a different team.
Different team this season or after the season?
This season.
You think they trade him?
Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling very petty now because I quietly liked my Warriors corner. I heard a lot of skepticism about the Warriors this coming season, and they're a team.
Oh, you feel hurt because you were all in on the Warriors being a rebound.
Yes. Draymond attempted to punch Jordan Poole. He did punch me. He connected with me because he sapped me of all the enthusiasm that I had. I really liked the quiet reload position that they were in with Wiseman and Kuminga and Moody, and their ability, the continuity there, where you had Otto Porter Jr. gone on greener pastures. Gary Payton Jr. got his bag. Great job for those guys, but it really created an opportunity for these guys, for Kuminga and Wiseman and Moody, and Moody they're especially deep. That's like a deep team, and they have that luxury now. Clay, all the way back from injury, and hopefully, able to, they'll load manage him. It makes sense, but like some version of him, we saw glimpses of it through the playoffs and in the finals. He was a crucial part.
Russillo never gave up on him.
Why would he?
He kept the nightlight on for him every night, waiting for him to come back. And then he came back in the finals, Clay.
You know what I never do is I never tape an open monologue the night before, but we had a weird schedule thing. So I go, hey, I'm just going to do the print the shirts again. They're winning this whole deal. I've seen enough thing. When they beat Denver, they went through that really good stretch. I was like, this is happening. Yeah. Clay's coming back. It's on. I don't want to fucking hear it anymore. And then Smart's dirty ass dove at Steph Curry's legs. And I called up Kyle and I was like, hey, where are you, home? And he was like, no.
Kyle's like, hold on. I had to step outside.
Yeah. And then he was like, what do you want to do? I go, just erase the monologue. Like Steph might be out for the season. Like, it's just going to sound stupid. And so I regret that call. I wish Kyle had never picked up.
Sorry, Kyle.
They're going to be good. They're going to be really good. They're going to be better. And if they won 53 games last year where they had some weird stretches, Clay's going to be better. One of the young guys is going to make an impact. The Draymond shit, this isn't new to them. And as much as I think the thing is going to run its course when they have to make a big financial decision with Draymond, I still am scared about their personality without the guy that wants to kill the opponent all the time. I don't know if that's worth like $180 million coming up as a player ages, but right now he's still important. I mean, his rebounding numbers last year, the defensive stuff, like this guy's still a huge part of what they do. And I think you need one guy that's on edge all the time when you're fighting for a title. I'm blown away by the number, and it couldn't be a bigger over for me.
I love it as well. I can't wait to see how this Draymond thing plays out because I think it's going to be the soap opera of the season. How he handled, because he's also a public figure and he's doing the new media and the podcast, all that stuff. But you have to be very contrite. But I also think he's probably starting to get pissed off that he's taking this much of a lambasting for what happened.
There's been a lot of, like, in the week since, it hasn't been an enormous rush by the entire Golden State community to prop him up and re-embrace him and create
his mom came out and had a video. Yeah.
A safe landing space for him.
His mom went at me once. I was zero. There was like zero interest.
Here's the thing. I think they've been through this rodeo with him a bunch of times. And I think they were trying to always figure out how to manage it and hope it never got too bad and hope it never blew up. I was of the opinion that it was 50-50. No real inside info in this, but just like, I think they want to pay Wiggins. I think they want to play Poole. And I just think if you're looking at this Belichick style, at some point, not everyone can make $35 million a year in your team, right? And at some point, you got to take some chances and you have Wiseman, you have Kuminga, and you know you can patch together some big guys and whatever. And I thought it was 50-50. Now I think it's like 25-75 because I think they have outs now to get rid of him. Before it was like, well, what's Curry going to say? What's Clay going to say? What are our fans going to say? We're betraying this guy who now it's like less of a betrayal because you have all these things you can point to. And you can point to 2016, you can point to Durant in 19, you can point to this Poole thing, and probably 5 other things we don't know about. And just like, you know what? It was time to move on.
Yeah, and he can't make outside shots.
And offensively, he cratered.
There are times where it's a problem when they're running their offense. I mean, the rest of it has been great, the defensive rebounding, all this stuff we talked about. But like, eventually he's going to be really expensive for what he brings to the table. And he's so combative all the time. I remember I interviewed him years ago in Toronto, sat down, and, you know, it's still pretty fresh, the scars, I would think, from the 2016 collapse, which he fucked up. I mean, he cost them an NBA title for the most part.
Which he's admitted at some points, and then other times it's like, I would do it again.
Yeah.
Well, like, you would do it again?
I know.
You do that again?
We're like, no regrets. How are you spelling regrets?
No regrets?
When I asked him, I was just like, you know, do you ever think there's any part of you that, you know, he was just like, well, I wouldn't have 70 million. You know, I wouldn't be the second round pick from Michigan. And you can kind of get it. You're like, all right, you know, like sometimes you have this fear. You're like, if I were wired differently, would I perhaps never even be here? So why am I going to apologize for the way that I'm wired? But I think the media part of it for him is funny because it's like, oh yeah. No, you're going to be the player that tells us how it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Right. And then it's July and you're like, would the Bulls beat the Warriors?
Right.
You're like, oh, right.
Oh, this is what we're doing.
This is what happens. All right, so coming up next week, fixing baseball, 6 simple steps. So I think I don't know how you can do the job and have people paying attention to you without you starting to be like, find a new way to be annoyed. Like now he's, and I think, you know, when he goes like, oh, this is new media. Like, I can't wait until he fully addresses all of this because, you know, sometimes I like saying you can be the worst source of your own story.
Well, that was like the interview he did with Durant, which was just ridiculous, where they just blamed like Steve Kerr and Bob Myers for them getting in a fight on the court, basically.
Or how about when the first version of events came out before we saw the video? It was like, you know, it escalated. And then you were like, wait, where's this coming from? The first public thing that we had read on kind of a version of reporting on this interaction was like already making excuses for Draymond. And then, of course, what also happens is Draymond's the one who fucked up here. You know, he's the one who fucked up. I don't think it's the end of the world. If they're good with it, I'm good with it. I really don't give a shit.
Here's where I would nudge back. Oh, go ahead.
Let me just finish the thought, and then it pivots to, well, I can't believe somebody from the team would do this. Like I watched PTI, and they were losing it about the team employee, and it's like, well, is that because we're more
the video guy
removed from it? Because you know, again, if the team is okay and they're probably pretty used to this, then I'm okay with it. Like I'm not going to sit here and trash the guy for it. But you want to zag from that, it sounds like.
Well, I heard Coward yesterday. Now, Coward works with Draymond, so maybe he's going to be prone to defend him. But he did the whole, and I've heard other people do this, of this happens in practices all the time. This Steve Kerr said it happened 20 times in practices he's been in. And here's what's different. Draymond was the leader of the team. And Poole was this young kid who wasn't nearly as big as him. And the level of anger and violence in that video from somebody who's supposed to be, I don't know, the emotional fulcrum of what they're doing, I think that's really hard to unwind. And this wasn't like Bobby Portis punching Mirotic because Mirotic crowded him. This is different. This is supposed to be Draymond's team. And I don't know how you rebuild that now as a leader after you've done that. I don't know enough about the team basketball dynamics. What do you think, House?
Well, and what changed with the video is you can see how many guys aren't watching that go down. You can see, you know, now everybody's seen exactly how it played out, exactly the sequence. Every guy on the team, everybody that works for the team, every team executive saw exactly the sequence of events that led to that. And it goes right to the heart of what you're describing, which is why it's such a goddamn buzzkill. He is the stir that starts the drink, the straw that stirs the drink.
You're not supposed to stutter until part 3. The straw that stirs the drink.
The straw that stirs the drink. Yeah.
He's the emotional center of the team.
Yes.
So I actually think this is bad.
You're right, Russillo.
I think
every team does need one.
I don't look. We've looked at Jordan as like this folklore hero for punching Kerr. Like,
it wasn't a folklore hero for punching Kerr. He's a folklore hero.
They got that. I think that was more of a both guys knew they were about to fight moment. Him punching Poole, really, I don't think Poole saw that coming, expected it, and Draymond's way bigger than him. I don't know. That felt different to me.
The whole point of The Last Dance won many of the points, but he was a bully from the day, you know, as soon as he became...
But you can also be that way when you're the best player, not only in the league, but maybe of all time. Draymond is this guy
fear.
Who has a new contract coming up, right, that he wants to get an extension for. His worth in that finals was kind of coming and going. Remember, he got benched that one game. And I'm sure he's worried about that and he wants to get a new contract. And I don't know, the Aziz Moore and the Pat Riley stuff, I do feel like you can feel it. And it's interesting because Kerr is such a student of the game and I haven't talked to him about it. But I know he knows all the signs, right? For a title defense. Is this in place? And is my chemistry good? Is my best player good? Is everybody good? Do I have the right leadership? Do I have to deal with contract distractions or trade rumors, stuff like that? Now they have distractions, which is the part I'm going over 52.5 because I think the talent is ridiculous. And I think this is going to be a really good team regardless.
I just don't see how they're not better. Like
they have to be, especially if Moody's good.
They had
which
a weird
I think he is.
defensive stretch. They had a really bad offensive stretch, but part of that is obviously because Curry missed so much time. And then Curry was in this kind of weird stretch where he couldn't hit any shots. And I don't know if that was partly the record, but then as they closed, you weren't sure about what the offense was going to be. And yet they still end up winning a title. So I don't think there's another team that's in front of them that they're scared to death of. You know, there's no version of them from like 5 years ago. And if the Draymond thing doesn't work out this year, maybe they trade him for Sohan.
Well, I guess we're all ambivalent about whether or not Draymond's on the team for the balance of the year.
I do wonder.
No, he's on the team this year. I have a hard time believing they would go into the playoffs without him.
Okay.
I wouldn't bet my life on it.
No, I'm not betting my life on it. I just think, like, you really think they're going to, if that team's rolling the way we think they're rolling, they're going to be 20 over 500 and they're like, hey, let's trade fucking Draymond. Like, think about that.
I think it would be more if they feel like they can't get past what happened. Hey,
I think athletes get past this shit way better than we do.
I'm sure you're right about that.
The Warriors' record since January 1st to the end of the regular season, what do you think it was?
This past year?
Yeah.
How many games?
48 games.
They won a bunch of them.
What do you think it was?
32.
What do you think it was?
I hate these quizzes.
They were 26-22 for the last 48 games. And maybe just when you mentioned how they were struggling the second half of the year, they really struggled. So that would be the fear with this 52.5 is, what if they hit a little blip by that? But I just think the Clay Moody pool, like having wings
Draymond.
like that. Yeah.
Clay came back.
Draymond was
Steph
missing.
had the weird,
slump.
They look at how many games some of their own guys played, not to say, but like, they're just armed. I think they're better armed to deal with that because I think one or two of these young guys are going to pop and Poole's only going to take on more of this.
And by the way, Curry wasn't like awesome for Curry.
Sure. Yeah.
The last 2/3 of last year.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll be awesome.